Chapter 5. Bushing Milpa. For several days the medicine man remained with the family. He set the broken bone and put a splint on father's leg. He spent hours looking into his divination stone and making intricate counts with grains of corn to find out the cause of the accident. "It is true," he said at last to the anxious family. "You have offended the corn gods. It will take a long time, but I see recovery in the stone. When the corn is in tassel, you will be well again." "Not until harvest time?" father said, and looked with dismay at mother. "Who is to bush and burn and plant the milpa? Who is to bring the corn to tassel?" "I will make milpa, father," Tigre said. The others turned toward him quickly. "But you cannot do it alone, son," mother said. "Perhaps your uncle, Bejrobat, will come to help us. And another year, when father is better, father can return to work." "There is no need," Tigre said. "I will make our cornfield. I will finish bushing. I will burn." He could feel them all looking at him. Father and mother with anxious glances, great-grandmother with her small black eyes hard and piercing. Great-grandmother seemed to read his thoughts. "Good," she said. "Tigre will make our milpa. We can always depend on our men in this family." Now the days began to drag for Tigre. In the morning he got up when mother and great-grandmother did, and dressed by candlelight. While mother prepared atole, he brought in wood for the day, and as soon as he had eaten, he started with dog to the milpa. Mother had worried about his schoolwork. What if he failed, she said, when the government examiners came? And there would be not only the disgrace but the fines to pay as well, for the government imposed heavy penalties on parents who had illiterate children. When Tigre asked the schoolmaster for permission to be absent from class, Don Alfonso not only consented but offered to help Tigre with his lessons. "Come to my house in the evenings," he said. "It will not be easy, Dionisio, but there is no reason why you should not make milpa and pass your school examinations too." At first Tigre worked fiercely, grim with purpose, but as day followed day and he seemed to make no impression on the forest, and for all his labor the standing trees stretched out, he was near despair. "I cannot do it," he told Dog. "It is too much. I cannot do it and my schoolwork too." And then, would father stop? He asked himself, and he thought how many times his father must have been weary too, but kept on, so that Tigre and mother and the others might have food, and he lifted the heavy axe with new determination. "If we are even to eat now," he said to Dog, "it depends on me." The hours stretched into days, days into weeks, and still he cut the trees. His thin arms ached, his back was sore, his hands bled, his nails were broken, but he kept on with the work. And at night, after his supper of corn gruel or beans and tortillas, he went to the schoolmaster's house and with sleep-heavy eyes studied the lessons he had missed. Walking to the milpa with Dog in the dark early morning, he recited aloud what he had learned the night before. And sometimes during the day, when he rested from his cutting and lay on the mound, with Dog scampering about nearby, he would go over again the lessons he had learned. He carried a pencil and paper in his hunting bag, and sometimes, just for pleasure, he copied the strange carved pictures on the temple stones. Little by little the studies became easier and his muscles hardened. Little by little the bush that remained to be cut became smaller and the fallen trees grew in number, and slowly as he chopped there came a feeling for the land. Each blow of his axe, each sharp machete thrust, bound him that much closer to the milpa, the old tie that had bound the men of his race through the centuries, now to this bit of bush, now to that, never the same field but always the corn and the land. "My milpa," he said to Dog, "my corn," and in his thoughts he saw the field cleared, the arrowed plants thrusting through the soil, the growing stalks, the tasseled corn. In February a boy child was born. He was named Juan Bautista, John the Baptist, for this was the name of the saint on whose day he was born. But from the beginning he was never called anything but John Tata, little father. He was such a serious baby. He looked around on his new family with wise, solemn eyes. "Not like Tigre," great-grandmother said. Tigre was the merry one, always laughing and playing little jokes before he could walk. Mother smiled at Tigre a little sadly. He is far from merry these days, she thought. Now there is another mouth to feed, Tigre thought. Another depends on me. And he made his decision. He measured out more bush and cut down more trees. We will need more corn, he thought, to pay for clothing for Chantata and for father's treatments. That will be our secret, he told Dog. Not only would he plant more corn, he decided, but he would plant beans and squashes too, and chili peppers, to sell to their neighbors who planted only corn. Perhaps, he thought wildly, there will be enough so I can buy my gun. He started to work eagerly on the new forest, and for a time his dreams so absorbed him that he scarcely felt the aching labor or the fierce sun on his back. The day came at last when the last tree was down. It had seemed to Tigre at the start that the cutting stretched out with no ending, the bush growing like magic almost as he cut it, as if the gods were jealous of man's leisure. But little by little, as small moments make up the seasons, so many axe blows, one after another, cut the bush down. He sat down weakly and looked over the milpa, heaped with piles of brush and trees, some already drying in the sun. "Ay," he cried, "ay!" At home he only said quietly, "Tsoki, it is finished."